when you have talent, you are given another chance.
Here's Chris.
The most interesting team in the league is more often than not going to be the Lakers. Even when they're good, they're bad. It's always interesting. But this year, I think, could be especially interesting because the Lakers had themselves what most believe is a pretty good offseason and have put around a soon-to-be 39-year-old LeBron James, a team that should compete at a high level. The highest level, let's get into that. Bring in Jovan Buha, does a great job covering the Lakers over at The Athletic. And Jovan, let's start right at the top with the offseason. I guess first let's run through what the Lakers did this offseason, the offseason moves that they've made. They got Anthony Davis re-signed to a contract extension. Austin Reaves re-signed. D'Angelo Russell re-signed. Rui Hachimura re-signed. They signed Gabe Vincent as a free agent. They picked up Taurean Prince, Jackson Hayes, Cam Reddish. So they fleshed out their roster with a few different guys. They lost Dennis Schroeder, Lonnie Walker IV, Malik Beasley, and Troy Brown. So I guess my first question to you is, did the Lakers have a good offseason? Are they a better team on paper now than they were at the end of last season?
Yes, I think so. I'm with the consensus here. We recently just did grades for The Athletic, and I gave the Lakers an A-. I think if you look at what general manager and vice president of basketball operations, Rob Pelinka, has continually said over the past few months, this team's goal was to establish some baseline level of continuity. And I think you saw that with the re-signings of Austin Reaves, Rui Hachimura, D'Angelo Russell, them extending Anthony Davis, and then them upgrading along the fringes of the rotation where, for me, Gabe Vincent and Dennis Schroeder are probably similar types of players in the aggregate, but I like Gabe's pull-up shooting ability, his ability to run pick and roll, and just his catch and shoot as a weak side threat. So I look at Gabe as at least an offensive upgrade over Dennis with what the Lakers need. I think Taurean Prince is an upgrade over that Troy Brown, Malik Beasley, Lonnie Walker spot. I think he gives them some more size and versatility as that kind of swing guy in the front court. And then I look at Christian Wood as, comparing him to a Wenyen Gabriel or a Tristan Thompson. I think you're going to get a lot more consistency from that backup center spot. And if Anthony Davis goes down, which we know he probably will at some point, you can have a Christian Wood step in and get you 20 and 10 for like a 10 to 15 game stretch while AD is out, similar to what Thomas Bryant did for the Lakers last year when AD went down. So I think overall, this is a better roster. This is a deeper roster. They have continuity, which they have not had in the LeBron and AD era. I think if you look year over year, it's always a new roster. They're sometimes returning 2 or 3 guys. This year, they are returning most of that core that helped them during the playoffs. Now, to your point about where are they in the contender sphere? Obviously, there was the big deal today with Damian Lillard, and I already had Milwaukee and Phoenix ahead of the Lakers. I think they'll still be ahead of the Lakers. So for me right now, I have them 3rd in the West behind Denver and Phoenix, and 5th overall behind those 2 teams and Milwaukee and Boston.
Yeah, you mentioned continuity, and it still is a little baffling to me that after winning a championship in 2020, the Lakers proceeded to slowly deconstruct that roster. It's like they had a thing that worked, and they did everything they could to dismantle it and break it apart. I think bringing the band back, so to speak, was the right move. And, when I was putting together part of the SI preview issue, I had some coaches kind of pushing back on the Laker offseason. They were like, look, it's not that good. They had some lateral moves there. Christian Wood, deeply flawed defensively, as we well know. But, I think continuity does matter with this team. And I like some of the guys that they signed. I'm with you on Gabe Vincent. That was a starting point guard on a finals team. That's not nothing. That's a guy that can play that position in big games. Taurean Prince, 3-and-D guy, it's an upgrade, I think, over Lonnie Walker, despite the fact Lonnie had some great moments with the Lakers in the playoffs. And look, Jackson Hayes, Cam Reddish, they haven't shown much at this point in their career, but they're former lottery picks that are going to get an opportunity to play off 2 of the greatest players in the game. That can only benefit them. I think they've made all the right moves. And this really is a continuation of what Rob Pelinka has been consistently saying over the last 4 or 5 months, that we value our guys. We're not looking to shake things up. We're not looking to change things up. I mean, that, do you get the same sense that, regardless of what they could do, continuity and making sure they had developing chemistry with these guys seems to have taken on a greater importance for the Lakers, in the last 5-6 months than it has at any point in time over the last couple of seasons.
Definitely. And that's why I think you have to, I don't want to say grade their offseason on a curve, but in comparison to previous off seasons, when, as you pointed out, they have torn down the roster, they have chased the shiny object of after the championship season, trying to get Dennis Schroeder to be their starting point guard and sort of changing the makeup of that team. Then the next offseason, they go after Russell Westbrook and a bunch of aging veterans. Then this past offseason, I thought it made a little bit more sense, but ultimately that was a lot of vet minimum guys, and they had to wait until the trade deadline until they could ship out Russ and get back multiple rotation pieces. We should also mention extended Jared Vanderbilt, who was a key defensive piece for them as the number 2 defense after the trade deadline. So I think overall, if you look at, again, the principal moves were retaining that core, extending, like now you have a window of, whatever happens with LeBron in the future, whether he retires next summer, the following summer, whenever, you have a core now with Anthony Davis, Austin Reaves, Rui Hachimura, Gabe Vincent, potentially D'Angelo Russell and Jared Vanderbilt of you've got guys who have been on a team that's made a deep playoff run. You've got guys that now have some continuity and chemistry together. And I think you just kind of can slot in a star there and it all makes sense. So to me, they are set up really well, for the short term and the long term with their potential cap flexibility down the road. So I think Rob Pelinka, really the bulk of the work was at the trade deadline. And I think you're just seeing a continuation of that. But for them to preach continuity and actually back it up, I think that's a win for them. And again, I think they're on that short list with Denver and Phoenix as legitimate threats to come out of the West right now.
Let's look at the half empty side of all this, the other side of the coin. Where are the weaknesses in your mind? I mean, they don't have much size up front, and to get through the Western Conference, presumably going to have to go through Denver and Nikola Jokic once again. Christian Wood, very good offensive player, but as we said, deeply flawed defensive player to the point where I'm not sure you can keep him on the floor in any kind of meaningful minutes in a postseason game. Where are the weaknesses right now with this Lakers team to you?
To me, it's on the defensive side, which is interesting for a group that was number 2 after the trade deadline and really built their identity around their defense. And just offensively, they've kind of been able to always get by with, we have LeBron, we have AD, they're going to figure it out offensively. And we kind of saw that in the Memphis and Golden State series. But for me, it's the perimeter defense to the extent that Jared Vanderbilt, I think, we saw in the playoffs, he really struggled offensively when teams started to ignore him and play off of him. And until he becomes at least a competent corner 3-point shooter, I think there are some limitations to how much he can play on a contending offense. And then I also look at, I think Gabe is a solid defender, but it's still a bit of a downgrade going from Dennis Schroeder to Gabe Vincent. I thought Dennis hit his ball pressure, ball hawking guys 94 feet and really setting the tone for them defensively, especially in crunch time. He was a key defender for them. I think they're going to miss some of that and just some of the energy that he brought. And then you mentioned it, like for me, it's still the interior where I look at how this team matches up with Denver. And I think they're better in part because of the shooting. So I think Denver really packed the paint against them and just said, we're not going to guard any of your shooters at the 3-point line. And if Troy Brown or Lonnie Walker or whoever beats us, like, so be it. So I think they have some more weapons there to make a team like Denver pay for that strategy. But defensively, Christian Wood and Jackson Hayes are not reliable defenders. I mean, Christian Wood, part of the reason why, this is a guy who just averaged 16 points, 8 rebounds on a block, shot almost 40% on threes, and he's a vet minimum guy. Jackson Hayes has bounced around, and talking to some people in New Orleans, like he was basically their 4th string center at times last year and was not a consistent guy in the rotation. So looking at those two guys, if Anthony Davis goes down for an extended period of time, like they can probably get by offensively with Christian Wood, but defensively, I don't know how they survive in a playoff setting for even 8 to 10 minutes without AD out there. So that's really the big one for me is the interior defense, the rim protection and the defensive rebounding. I think Denver slaughtered them on the glass, and that was a big concern that I don't think they've yet resolved.
Well, we're back with another week of football, and DraftKings Sportsbook is keeping us in the NFL action with great offers every single game day. New customers Again, bet $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Throw 5 down on any of this week's epic matchups to walk away with an instant winner. And DraftKings isn't stopping there. All customers can take advantage of 2 new offers every single game this September. So football's more fun when you're in on the action. So download the app now and sign up with the code Mannix. New customers can bet just $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL with code Mannix. The crown is yours.